I'm Terry Moran. Today, the world reacted to the passing of Senator Ted Kennedy. The White House lowered the flag to half-staff as President Obama called Kennedy the greatest senator of our time. The funeral is planned for this Saturday in Boston, and then later at Arlington National Cemetery, the last son of Camelot will be laid to rest next to his brothers, and that will be his sanctuary in death. And yet again tonight, our eyes turn to the Kennedy family's sanctuary, their compound in Hyannisport, Massachusetts, where they've united and rejoiced in good times and searched for solace after great tragedy. They gather there now for Teddy, as David Wright reports.
Today, outside the Kennedy compound, the flags were at half-staff again. The satellite trucks on Marchant Avenue parked uncomfortably close. The reporters outside peering in as the Kennedys gathered behind closed doors to mourn another loss.
And the scene that we find ourselves in now is a place we've been before.
It is. We've been there through many tragedies, as well as all those happy pictures.
Grainy images so familiar they seem like they're torn from our own family album, a collective memory. Ted Kennedy himself used to describe the big house as a scrapbook. Inside, no priceless works of art, but hundreds upon hundreds of photographs of America's political dynasty.
It was really there that we first saw them. The family all running around the yard, throwing footballs, and the women and the men, and those sailboats, those constant pictures of various family members on the sailboats.
And they always suggested vigor.
Vigor was certainly a big part of the Kennedy mystique.
And Hyannisport was always the backdrop.
I suppose being a large family and an active family, I think it's been very much involved with the out of doors, with all of those implications.
Hyannisport was Camelot's beach house, the Kennedy Castle on Nantucket Sound, a home that produced not just one, but three sons who aspired to the highest office in the land. Joe Kennedy bought the big Dutch colonial with the wraparound porch in 1929, 3 years before his youngest was born.
This is Hyannis on beautiful Cape Cod.
For many Americans, Hyannisport has come to be synonymous with elitism, the sort of place people use summer as a verb, and the Kennedys have cultivated that.
In this comfortable, homey setting, the 9 Kennedy children grew to maturity.
But the truth is, as Irish Catholics, they would have been unwelcome in waspy enclaves like Newport, so the Kennedys created their own aristocracy here.
Cardinal Pacelli met the younger children, the older ones were at school, and he sat on the sofa and held Teddy on his knee.
This is Rose Kennedy from a 1962 film promoting her son's first campaign for the U.S. Senate.
Every other time when the women have had the vote, the Kennedys have won over the lodges. So I hope you will not disappoint us at this time.
And it wasn't a one-off. By family tradition, the Kennedy compound used to be open to the public every year on Rose Kennedy's birthday.
And I was very surprised. It was not like a glitzy, it was not like walking in, it was a rich person's house. The furniture was a little bit worn, the rugs were worn, the cushions on the sofa were lumpy, and then they took us into another room where Rose was sitting and flanked, now that I look at it, rather poignantly by Eunice and by Ted. On the walls, lots of photographs of her sons, and I saw none of her daughters.
The compound includes several adjacent houses owned by other members of the Kennedy clan.
This is my brother's house.
In 2004, Senator Kennedy gave George Stephanopoulos a tour.
He was in that house where he heard about that he was elected president. 7:15 in the morning, Caroline went out and woke him up and said, "You're president of the United States."
This was where the family gathered in those moments of triumph. This is where they've come together for generations during tragic times, too. The compound has seen more than its share of that. Beginning with that terrible day in Dallas. President Kennedy's kid brother was still a freshman in the Senate when he had to break the news to his father in Hyannisport.
To be the person that had to go tell him that his golden son, who was president of the United States, had been killed had to be one of the hardest things that anybody ever had to do.
It's on to Chicago and let's win there.
All the more tragic to have that scene repeated with Bobby just a few years later. Joe Kennedy, confined to a wheelchair after a stroke, died in Hyannisport 1 year after that.
My fellow citizens.
The library at the big house in Hyannisport is where Ted Kennedy gave his mea culpa for Chappaquiddick.
The car overturned in a deep pond and immediately filled with water. I remember thinking as the cold water rushed in around my head that I was for certain drowning.
He pled guilty to leaving the scene of an accident. Mary Jo Kopechne's death likely cost him any hope of winning the presidency. The compound has seen plenty of happy memories, too. Family weddings, including Caroline Kennedy's, where a proud uncle gave the bride away. 10 years ago, Caroline's brother, John Jr., was on his way to another family wedding at Hyannisport when his plane plunged into Nantucket Sound. The wedding gave way to a burial at sea. So powerful is the allure of Hyannisport that plenty of others have sought to elbow their way in. Arnold Schwarzenegger married Maria Shriver in Hyannis. And President Clinton took to vacationing on nearby Martha's Vineyard, and even though he had no family connection, sailed with Senator Kennedy through some of the roughest waters of his presidency.
Ted Kennedy was very generous to Bill Clinton at that time because it was also a tough time in Bill Clinton's career. And Kennedy knew what that felt like, and he was very kind to be out in pictures with Bill Clinton, then
Right after Monica Lewinsky.
giving him some moral support.
It's no surprise that when he got sick, Senator Kennedy came here to recuperate. And even with a brain tumor, he loved to be out on his 50-foot sloop, the Maya. Even in these final few months, he never missed an opportunity to sail.
Couldn't be a more beautiful day. We had a wonderful friends and family, and it's a great tradition out here. We always enjoy it.
Ultimately, it was where he came to die. He would sit on his porch, he would paint, he read here, he wrote here, and his children were here.
And as sad as it is that he's passed away, it's important to remember Ted Kennedy is the only one of the brothers who got to live out his days and die in the place that he loved. I'm David Wright for Nightline in Washington.